Hi students, hi parents, the entire family. Welcome to this second video lesson about the person of God. Last week, we learned that God is creator. God created this entire universe, including everyone. If God created everything and everyone, then it all belongs to Him. And if it all belongs to Him, if it all belongs to God, then He has the right, He has the power and the authority to give us rules and laws to live by. And if we follow these rules and laws, we will have life. And we will have a good life that will glorify Him. Another way to express God's power, His authority, is that God is King. And that is today's lesson. God is King. Psalm 93 celebrates God who is King. The author writes, "The Lord reigns. He is robed in majesty. The Lord is robed. He has put on strength at his belt. Yes, the world is established. It shall never be moved. Your throne is established from of old. You are from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their roaring. Mightier than the thunders of many waters. Mightier than the waves of the sea. The Lord on high is mighty. Your decrees are very trustworthy. Holiness befits your house, O Lord, forevermore." Psalm 93 celebrates the kingship of God. If God created everything in this entire universe, surely He can be the king of the universe. God is king. There are three lessons that we can take away from Psalm 93 that celebrates and says that God is king. Number one, God's reign. His throne is established and secure. Verse 2 says that God's throne was established from of old, and the Lord is everlasting. So God, He is eternal. And so God's kingdom is also eternal. What does that mean? It means that before creation, before you and I were given life, God was already there. God existed already. And His throne, His kingdom was already established. Established before even this created universe. Before you and I were even created. God's throne is secure. It will not go away. It will not fade and it will not die. But God's throne is established and it is secure. And God's throne, and God's reign, it is majestic and it is reliable. God Himself is majestic. And so God's throne, His reign is majestic. Majestic means that it is awesome. It is great. So God and His throne, His reign, it is great. It is awesome. It is the best thing in this entire universe. And it is reliable. This planet that you and I live on, it is reliable because God is a good king. God is not evil. He's not bad. He is not a tyrant. But He is a good king who loves His people. And the people can celebrate because this planet that you and I live on, it is reliable because God is a good king. Number two, God, who is king, is mightier than the raging sea. He is mightier than the floodwaters, than the thunderous waves. He is mightier than all of the events that take place in this world. He is stronger. He is more powerful than the chaos of this world. He is also stronger and mightier than all of the kings and the queens of the world. Many kings and queens have come, but they have also left. They have died, but again, God is eternal. God will live on even after this world is no more. Number 3, God's decrees, the laws and the commands that He gives us, they are good. They are trustworthy. They are reliable. Again, because God is a good king. A good king will look after his people. A good king will take care of his people. A good king will love his people. And a good king knows what is best for the people of the earth. And so he gives us laws and he gives us commands to follow, to obey, so that we will live a life that is pleasing to God, a life that will only glorify God, a life that is thankful to God, God who is King. And not only that, God is holy. Holiness befits His throne. It befits His home. Holiness is God. God is holy. And that means that God is perfect. There is no evil. There is no sin that can be found in God. God is apart from sin. He is apart from this world, so He cannot be tainted with evil. He will not do one bad thing, but He gives us good laws, perfect laws to follow, to be obedient to, because it pleases Him. And it helps us to live a life that will only glorify Him. God is King, and He gives us laws, trustworthy laws, reliable laws that will only help us to be good people and to be people who will be obedient to Him. God is King. He is a majestic King. He is a powerful King. He is the eternal King. God is King. And as King, He gives us good, reliable, and holy, perfect laws or commands to follow in, so that we will have a good life and a life that will only glorify Him. God, He is the best King in this entire universe. He is the greatest King, and He is a King who will always be. That is why we can believe in God. That's why we can trust, and that's why we can put our faith in God. God, He looks after His people as a good King. And He gave us a wonderful plan in His Son, Jesus Christ. His Son became a part of this world. He lived a life like you and I, but He was obedient to the King all the way to the point of death. And through Jesus' death and through His resurrection, He was able to save you and I. And now Jesus, He is sitting at the right hand of the throne, and He is still saving us. He is still speaking on behalf of God. And He is showing God that you and I, we are His children, that we are of righteousness. That is why we can trust in God, God who is the King. We ought to glorify God. We ought to worship Him. We ought to live our life for Him. Let us respond in that way, because God is a good King, And God is a king who looks after his people. God is the greatest king that there will ever be. We can have faith in him. We can trust in him. Respond and show him the glory that belongs to him. I hope you all enjoyed this lesson. Parents, continue to use the resources, the lesson plans, the reviews that I have provided to help your children to remember that God is King. May you all be blessed. Enjoy and take care.